Hello and welcome back to another Demergo Studio stream. I'm Todd, and today we're going to be talking about more story arcs. I actually just put up a blog post recently, if you haven't checked it out, kind of detailing my vision, kind of how I see the game development process laid out, the order of things, the structure of the game itself. And that's kind of just a general guideline for what we're going to be doing as we work through this. And at the very bottom rung is I can actually bring up the image for you real quick so we can take a look at it. Uh, we have here at the very bottom rung here this idea of core gameplay, and we already do have our core gameplay established. Our core gameplay is just the ability to use your finger to move your character around the screen like he's stuck to the tip of your finger, and then pick up these gophers to create a long snake tail, which then creates additional challenges along the way. And even the potential of one of the other streams I just talked about was using that as an inventory-like system. So each little gopher that follows you could carry additional inventory items. But so today we're going to be talking about, actually we're moving up to kind of the story level. We've already talked a bit about that main story arc, the idea being that your grandpa's having this big celebratory birthday and you're going around to get all the relatives together. And that's kind of, you say that's kind of boring. It's a simple premise, a simple concept. But along the way you learn about the plot. Someone's trying to get rid of your grandpa essentially on his birthday party, at his birthday party, excuse me. And so it's kind of like a mystery. You got to try to figure out who's trying to do that, and you can either end up helping them or hurting them, maybe helping them or turning them in, making it known to your grandpa or whatever, something like that. But that's kind of the whole main story arc, the main premise of the master arc. But what we do want to talk about a little bit today is on our to-do list here is to develop the story arc for Mossboro. I'm still not necessarily set on that name, but it's a working name for now for the title of the city. And so I've got our document open here, our Mossboro document, and just kind of I got some things written down here about environment and characters, a lot of characters here, but I need to develop a story arc for it. I want each of these little worlds that are available for the player. I want each of their worlds to have their own little sub arc. So we got our main overall arc, which is birthday party, grandpa, and then we have these little sub arcs in each, subplots you could say in each world. So I got to figure out one for Mossboro, and I feel like some of my favorite story arcs are the ones that come about a little bit more organically. Ones that come about, I'd say, where you're sent on a mission to do something else, or your original goal is to go somewhere and to do something, and along the way you discover something completely else that has almost nothing to do with your original goal, and it's interesting. So I'm thinking actually for this particular story of doing something like that, where maybe your grandpa sends you on a mission and asks your help to go pick up some stuff from the market, and along the way you see something unusual, or you discover something unusual. Maybe there's like a circus passing through the town, or I don't know. That's what we're gonna figure out today. And I kind of like that idea already. Is something unusual is passing through the town, or something unusual is happening to town. That actually is a really cool idea to it as well. Or better yet, something is passing through the town and it happens to one of the people involved. Maybe there's some caravans, some gypsy caravans or something like that. I really like this idea of one of the early games we did at Demergo was Legends of Isua, I believe is what it was pronounced. And it had to deal with a very steampunk world, and we had some really cool gypsy wagon carts and stuff like that. And I still really like that idea. So maybe I'll do something along those lines, like some visitors are passing through the town, and one of them gets sick or falls ill or better yet just dies, or something tragic happens to them. Maybe you're told to wake up in the you wake up and your grandpa's like, hey, go to the store and pick me up some groceries. And as you walk through this common area. So let's talk a little bit about Mossboro, what I have down for the environment currently, which is I have lots of nature colors. So I want this town to be very nature oriented. I like to think of it almost as some of those villages in Stargate SG-1 when they went to some of those other worlds. Very nature oriented. I like to think of almost that. I'm getting really sci-fi techie here. When Daniel Jackson thinks he's discovered the lost city of Atlantis, and he goes through this portal that sends him to essentially the moon. And it was really like a safe haven for the Gould or something like that. I don't know. And so there's a whole plot. And anyways, it's like this destroyed village that apparently no weapons were supposed to be allowed to go to. And then someone got a weapon in, and you know how it works. The whole utopia idea that wasn't so much of a utopia. But that village was very overgrown almost. But both the initial village in which they find the portal and then also the village on the moon were both very overgrown, almost ruinish like. But I don't want ruins. I just want it very nature. Lots of nature, maybe tall grass and stuff like that. To feel like, we are gophers. This is a world of gophers. So it can be very natural, very nature oriented. So anyway, we've got lots of nature colors: greens, browns, yellows, reds, and oranges. I'm thinking more of like reds as an accent color, oranges, yellows, and greens. Oranges and yellows maybe for leaves, dried leaves on the roofs. Browns for sticks, so their houses are going to be made out of essentially sticks, not like lumber and timber like we think of it today, but like sticks and stuff like that. Not sticks, but like logs and stuff, with still bark on it and such. So I kind of like that idea. And then with leaf roofs, dirt paths everywhere, stone paths in some of the more heavily areas. So I'm thinking this common area. When we're getting to here, well, we'll get there in a second. Wood houses with leaf roofs, a main street area. So there's a main market area. With the market, they've got nut stands and fruit stands and vegetable stands. Very, again, very natural, very earthy. And then we've got a bakery house, and then maybe a clothing store, and a water well. A well in the middle of the common area, or just like in the middle of the market area, actually, where people go and get water, obviously. And then we have this park common area, which is where I think a lot of events will take place, a lot of different ideas. So this is where people come and enjoy hanging out. There's a fountain in it too, maybe a very basic fountain, but or a waterfall. Maybe that would be better. It's like a natural waterfall built into the creek, or into the hillside where this common area is. I really like that a lot. There's a windmill. It looks like I've got the idea for a windmill, some broken down houses, haunted ghost stories. That's actually kind of cool. That could actually play into this plot I'm thinking of. And I didn't walk into the stream with an idea for the plot. I'm literally just developing it off the top of my head. Crop fields, woods, wood fences, clotheslines. But so this common area is what I wanted to get to. There's this common area with a fountain in it. And so what I'm thinking is maybe we'll have some visitors, some gypsies. Gypsies might be the wrong word, but like people visiting, passing through the town. Maybe they're non-gophers. Maybe some of them are gophers, but maybe they're other animals. You could argue kind of like a circus, but maybe they're just visitors visiting the town. Happens all the time here in America. People drive their RVs through small towns throughout the U.S. and they're just visiting for a couple days and they leave. So why not the same thing? So they're visiting, and maybe I was thinking this idea of Maybe your grandpa says go to the market to get something. On your way to the market, I don't know if you're going to pass through the common area or the market will just be close to the common area, maybe, so that you can kind of see what's going on in the common area. Maybe we'll see. Actually, that could be more challenging because, again, I'm not doing a contiguous, connected world. They're actually screen by screen worlds. So I don't know. We'll have to figure out how we want to design this, but maybe so. The idea for this story is, the visitors get something tragic happens to one of the visitors, or maybe one of the visitors runs away or something like that, or disappears, and they're looking all over for him. And you kind of maybe see speech bubbles or something like that. We're looking for this guy. We haven't seen him for a long time, but your job is still to go get this vegetable, get this fruit and stuff, and you bring it back to your grandpa, and he says, "Oh, okay, thanks, appreciate it." Brings it back to you. Then maybe your friends say, "Hey, come play or whatever with us, or come out." And maybe there's like a field area, maybe up by the windmill. Maybe they say, "Hey, or even better, let's go play by the broken down house." And if you notice kind of how my style of story writing is I created a world with some props in it. And we did this in one of the last streams. And now I'm going to use those props to create a story. And so, hey, maybe the friend's like, "Hey, let's go check out that old broken down house or whatever out there. It's so much fun." And one of the other kids says, "Ooh, my grandpa says it's haunted," or something like that or whatever. And so you go out there, and on your way, maybe you see something else. Maybe you see... Maybe you see... I don't even know. Maybe you see... I really have no idea at this second. Maybe you see the guy who was missing. Maybe he's on the ground. That's great. I like that. I'm already going, okay. So I like where I'm going. So as you're walking out there, you guys see him on the ground. Just hanging out on the ground. Or actually, so I gotta weave my main story arc in with these sub arcs. So I'm getting a little off track. So let's say it starts off with your grandpa saying, "Hey, it's my birthday. You gotta go. Why don't you go round up some of the neighbors and collect some of them? Or give me some fruit. But could you please go get me some fruit before you start that from the market?" So you go over to the market, you pick up some stuff from what's his name in the market, and you come back, and he's like, "Hey, why don't you go? You've got some." Or go round up some gophers. So you kind of got free roam ability to go out into this world that we're gonna design here in a little while. To go out into this world and collect some relatives to bring back to us or whatever, for the party that's coming up, or tell the relatives about it. Collect actually is better because we're gonna do that whole snake thing. And so as you get out there, you can just start adventuring around, and maybe that's what the story is it's a mystery adventure. So you can go anywhere in the world, but there are certain areas you can't get to until you unlock things, and you can't unlock those things until you discover other areas or whatever. So maybe the story arc is there's a strange illness that is befalling the villagers, a sleeping illness where they fall asleep and they stay asleep. And so that's where we get this traveling group coming through the town. And when you're out adventuring, you start seeing some of them sleeping all over the place, and you wonder, you try to wake them and they don't wake up. And, eventually when you go back to the village, you start seeing people talk about it. I really like this. I like this because it allowed me to build a system of dialogues that pop up that you can read as a user, you can ignore. Doesn't matter either way. Maybe we'll do like a little ... and if you touch on the ... it shows more. But 1 second. Sorry, that was my wife disturbing me. Um, so I'm thinking about maybe doing. So you kind of move around this world, and you start seeing these people sleep around. So anyway, it allows me to create this dialogue system for the villagers, where as events take place in the game, the villagers start to say different things. They show up in different places and they say different things. So we can have this whole world event system to where, but that's really complicated to build. But it's a cool idea. I want to. It's worth investigating. Let's get that down. I really like that. Where in the world? I don't think it's this one. Yeah, it's not that one. Yep. Let's create a new doc. Game systems. So this is kind of what I'm talking about now. Is if you look back in that chart I created, is we've got core gameplay, story, then systems, I believe, is next. I believe actually implementing those systems is next, right? Oh no, level design, gameplay level design, and that's where and then systems is next. And so these two are very much tied together. So this is kind of game systems and game play. Let's do global gameplay systems. I wasn't planning on getting into this necessarily, but let's call it the NPC dialogue system. And the idea behind it is NPC dialogue system. As you move about the world, you see we're going to do this ... speech bubbles above NPCs with things they are thinking. Yeah, that's a good way to do it. Things they are thinking. Actual speech will be a little bit more official, but these are just like their thoughts. Maybe you can read their thoughts or something. I don't know. I'm not going to explain why you can do that. But I think it's just ways to give players information about the world. As events in the game progress, those speeches change. And maybe they won't be necessarily ... but there'll be little tidbits of information. As events in the game progress, those thoughts change and provide clues to what's happening and the story that's... And you could say, well, what happens if the player misses these thoughts? Well, they're really more, it's almost more like a hints system rather than necessarily a story dialogue system. So more like a hints system. And so that's just basic description. I don't even need a bullet point for this. Doesn't make sense. Let's do H2. H1 worked. All right, there we go. We've got that. Global gameplay systems. All right, so we've got that system in place. So back to Mossborough. So let's start talking story. Oops. I'm quickly running out of time. I like to try to box these things to 20 minutes, and we're at 20 minutes right now. So great. Story. So pretty much the story is some travelers are staying in town. Some travelers are staying in town, and your grandpa tells you to go collect locals for the big celebration. But first, you need to go pick up the groceries from the market before heading out. And so what prevents you from actually going out and not picking up the groceries? Absolutely nothing. And there's no reason not to. You could just completely ignore the groceries thing altogether. But remember, one of the rewards I want to give the players additional story and background. And so there is really no reason you could not pick up the groceries, except for maybe we could do the little wagon. We could attach the wagon to the players so that they can't actually pick up gophers until the wagon is gone. So maybe the little wagon is where he puts the groceries in before heading out. On the way, once at the market, the player notices people sleeping, or notices some of the visitors still sleeping during the day. This is going to be during the day too, by the way. So I was still thinking about doing maybe like a day-night system. So let's go back here and say global gameplay. Day-night system. That's a lot of work to implement, but it would be nice to just have that sort of a day-night system to add a little bit more real-time feeling to it. And it'll allow me to add some mechanics that only show up maybe at night versus during the day. You know, maybe only some paths or something show up under the light of a torch or something. I don't know. Something like that. Again, this is part of game development, just going along as you can, doing the best you can. Making it up as you go, right? Fake it till you make it. No, I'm not sure I necessarily subscribe to that, but anyways, so once at the park, the player notices some of the visitors sleeping. Player can investigate, or just get the groceries. Maybe when you're picking up, you go talk to the guy, you get near him, and then immediately the dialogue starts popping up and you enter it. So I'm thinking about doing that automatically, but we might do more of a touch-based system where as you get close to him, maybe we'll do like a blinking cursor around or a highlight around that character. That would be really cool. Like a nice shader for a nice highlight, like a transparent highlight over the character that you're going to interact with a thick outline around it. That's kind of cool. I like that idea. Player can investigate or just get the groceries. So we're going to put that as a point in here. Once the player has... the player interacts with... Who's our grocery? Tribe historian. Oh, look at that. We don't have anyone who's doing the groceries. So, we'll have Mr. and Mrs. Nuts. It's kind of fun, but... Or, Mr. and Mrs. Walnut. Walnut? Why not? Sounds good. We could do something different, too. But Mr. and Mrs. Walnut run the nuts and run the nuts stand. Mrs. Mr. Miss. And yes, I am making these up. Miss. Making these up as I go. I wanted to create more nature, fruit, you know, like that way. I want it to be so that the player can easily remember who's who. So I want their names to reflect what they do, their occupations or their goals in the game. So Flowers is a town baker. Okay, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But Stone, tribe historian. Grandma's your tribe doctor. That's kind of cool. I remember like doing that. Mrs. Walnut for Mr. and Mrs. Walnut for the nut stand. Miss. No. Fruits and vegetables. Miss Raspberry. No. Fruit, vegetable. Let's see what this brings up. I have no idea what it's gonna. Food surnames. There we go. Curry. Oh, I guess I'm looking up fish. Why not? This works. Orange. Miss Orange. I like that actually a lot. Well, I just borrowed a surname. Congratulations. I have no idea who that person is, but we'll do Mrs. Orange. Orange runs the fruit and veg stand. Alrighty. Mr. and Mrs. Walnut, Shy, and I want to think of these people. To me, Mr. and Mrs. Walnut would be I kind of think of them more like I just had it and I lost it. Oh well, we'll ignore that for now. So Shy and Strict only takes will only accept bartering, will only accept trading goods for goods, so no money or walnut dollars or whatever we could think of some fun name to put them. We'll accept trading goods for goods. Shine Strict, very opinionated. No, I want Mrs. Orange is going to be the opinionated one. Very opinionated. She's like the what do they call those women that know everything that's going on? Talk of the town, no. Knows everything. Town gossip, maybe. Not like in a mean way, just that very talkative. Kind. She's kind, but again, very opinionated, very talkative. Consumed with what everyone else is doing. Consumed with what others are doing. Not necessarily with what she's doing. Shy Strict. Do not take. Does not take. Negative feedback poorly. Or easily offended, maybe that's what I should say. easily offended. Shy but easily offended. Very smart. Very smart. Nah, it doesn't seem to make sense. Easily offended and very smart don't really go together. Because smart people, well, wise people, maybe I shouldn't say smart people. Yeah, like, smart, not wise. Smart, not wise. Not wise. Wise people tend to not be easily offended because they don't let that stuff get under their skin. Player can investigate or just get the groceries. When the player interacts with Mrs. Orange for the groceries, and this makes perfect sense because she talks a lot about how the visitors seem to always be sleeping. And then maybe one of her last comments is, oh, but I haven't seen Mr. Orange all day. If you see him, please let him know I am worried about him. There we go. Mrs. Scene, and he didn't return last night, and he didn't return home last night. See him. Please let him know I am very worried about him. Maybe Mr. Orange runs the windmill. Mr. Orange runs the town windmill. See, we really are just making this stuff up on the spot. He's patient, mild-mannered, very technical, knowledgeable. Alright, this is going way too long. I'm way past 30 minutes now. With this, I'm going to end. Very technical. So he's patient. He's mild-mannered. He's like the town techie, maybe. That's a great way to put him. Very technical and knowledgeable. The mechanical genius of the town. There we go. That looks good. All right. Let him know I'm worried about him. After returning home, maybe there's like after you return home and deliver the groceries. Your grandpa gets after you to hurry up and go get some guests for the party. And so then now you get to go out and free roam. And so then as you free roam this world, you begin to discover more people falling asleep all over the place. And you begin to realize that this isn't limited to just the visitors, but it's also affecting the townspeople too. And maybe this is something to do with the water. Maybe the water, someone poisoned the well. It seems kind of cliched, but it makes for a simple story. Or maybe I don't know. Or maybe the town fountain pours into the well, and there were some leaves that were placed over the fountain or something like that. Placed over the fountain with like some poisonous leaves or sleep powder, like some trees that would, when they get into the water, they release something or they taint the water so that it puts people to sleep. And you solve that problem, but it leads to, how did this get in here? There are no plants anywhere around. And then that sets off another mystery of, okay, who would want the town to fall asleep? And you begin to find out that maybe the visitors themselves are really the culprits. The visitors aren't visitors, but they're thieves that have come into the town, and they didn't realize that the fountain water flowed into the well, or that the well water flowed into the fountain, or something like that. So they poison the water supply, get everyone to drink it, fall asleep, but they didn't realize maybe that the well was different than... I don't know, something like that. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense at the second, because why would they drink the water and fall asleep too, right? But we could do something silly like towards the middle, you're like, why would they fall asleep too? Because again, it makes this mystery that one of the townspeople had gone and filled up their water for them to be so kind and generous, and they drank it not realizing that it was the tainted water, and they ended up falling asleep themselves. I think that's kind of an interesting direction to go. There's a little bit of a twist. I don't want to do tons of plot twists, but there's this little bit of idea of, okay, maybe the visitors brought this disease or problem into town. Okay, maybe not. Maybe maybe not. Okay, you found these leaves. Okay, but who put the leaves in? And maybe you start to suspect some villagers, or you start to, I don't know, something like that. I think this is a good direction for the start of the story. Obviously, it can change. We're still very early on. But I'm going to let you guys go. It's almost 40 minutes in. This is double as long as I wanted to go, but I think we got to start. I needed to start. I had a brain block for a while. I really needed to start in on this. And if I'm sounding better too, I've got a new microphone, so I'm hoping that helps. So, thank you for watching, and we will see you on the next Demergo stream.